Hey guys, it's Tombox, and in this video we are going to be doing a set breakdown of Toon Chaos. All you need to know: the impact level, the best cards being released, the best reprints of the set, and a couple of fun facts, because I like to keep it a little fun around here. Now, fun fact number one is that Toon Chaos's font is not Comic Sans. The one above me is the one I made myself. That's Comic Sans. And you can see the difference, it's in the A's, but you know, I really had to do a double take on that one as well. Now this set can essentially be broken down into 4 parts. We have the TCG exclusive Toons, we have the TCG exclusive Chaos cards, we have the OCG structure deck import of Warrior Strike Retrained, and we have the major reprints and the major imports. So that last one is actually one category. But yes, another fun fact before we jump in is that we are unlocking a new rarity, which is going to be Collector's Rare in this set. Now, this is kind of comparable to maybe Starlight Rare in the key main sets, but maybe not as exclusive. But do you guys actually enjoy the extra rarity hunt that you guys can go for, especially for you collectors out there? I feel like this might be Konami's way of giving us an added extra foiling, much like Magic the Gathering, where you can get a Mythic, which is one of your like secret rares, but then what you really want is a Mythic foil. You know, those are worth way more in comparison. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. And make sure you guys hit that like button, hit the subscribe, ding notification bell, and let's begin. So for Toon cards, we have 5 cards: Toon Blackluster Soldier, Toon Harpy Lady, Toon Bookmark, Toon Page Flip, and Toon Terror. Let's break down all these cards first before we go into whether or not they have enough impact, and also discuss why. So we have Toon Blackluster Soldier, has Toon World based effects. So in other words, like many Toon monsters, they can attack directly if your opponent controls no Toon World or monsters on their side of the field. And special summon by attributing level 8+ worth of Toon monsters, and it's much like your ritual summon. This one is more or less a summon condition, so it does not activate, so you could just jump out by meeting its condition. And it has a soft once per turn. Yeah, I read the card text very carefully. It's a soft once per turn, banish any card on the field as long as you have Toon World on the field. So that's pretty crazy if you ask me. And it can attack on the turn that he summoned, so that's another big restriction that got removed. Toon monsters had a ton of restrictions in the first generation, and generation after generation, they slowly started to remove these restrictions, and it's like one at a time. It's a little checklist. So this card's pretty powerful. So after they use their effect to banish any card on the field, they can summon another Blackluster Soldier and do the 3k to the face. So that's pretty devastating. Or banish more cards, or maybe just spam out 3 of them and just banish 3 cards. Who knows? Whatever that you can meet the condition for, that seems like it's the right way to go. Next, there's Toon Harpy Lady. Now, this one has a Toon World based effect to summon herself out. This one does activate, and it is hard once per turn, so you can't just Harpy Lady, Harpy Lady, Harpy Lady. That doesn't really work. And if you control another Toon monsters on the field when this card is summoned out, you get to pop a spell and trap on the field, and it's non-targeting. So that's a pretty big deal. It's kind of like having Harpy's Hunting Ground out. Very similar to that, I would say. And of course, it can do a direct attack, and as long as you control Toon World, you get to free special summon out this card from your hand. But it does activate, and it's hard once per turn. And the popping effect is part of the same effect. Now there's Toon Bookmark. Now Toon Bookmark is like your next Toon Table of Contents, except for the fact that it cannot search Toon Table of Contents, because this one searches any Toon World related card. You can search Toon World or any card that mentions Toon World. Unfortunately, Toon Table of Contents only mentions a Toon card, so it doesn't count. But this one also protects your field spells or your Toon Worlds by banishing this card from your graveyard to protect your Toon World if it's going to be destroyed. So it has a destruction substitution, and it's hard once per turn, so it's got that limitation. But if you've got 3 copies of Toon Table of Contents and 3 Toon Bookmark, you've got a pretty decent search engine. You got basically Google in your deck now. But the one thing to note about Toon Bookmark and the rest of the Toon deck is that recursion in this deck is not exactly the most simple thing. Like Toon Kingdom starts to get rid of your resources in the long run to protect your cards, and Toon Bookmark can protect that, but you don't really have to recycle very many cards. Next, there's Toon Page Flip, which is kind of like an emergency teleport for any Toon monster. You choose 3, but the randomness is that your opponent chooses 1 of the random 3, and you get to summon out that card out of your deck, and you ignore the summoning condition. So that's a pretty big deal, I would say. Toon Dark Magician can help you get an additional monster out or additional search. Toon Red Eyes is not bad either, and Toon BLS is also pretty good. Why would you go for like Toon Blue Eyes? I don't know. Just go for the BLS, it's much better. And then there's Toon Terror. This is their counter trap, Infernity Barrier, Omni Negate plus Destruction, searchable with Toon Bookmark. I don't think it's that bad. I think it's giving them a little bit more, I guess, board presence overall. Now, in terms of like Toon facts here, like this generation of Toon monsters is a lot better. Like first gen, they can't be summoned, they can't be normaled, they self-destruct basically when Toon World is gone, they cannot attack on the turn they're summoned. There's just a lot of things going for it. And then second gen, they can be normaled, but they can't be specialed. You don't need Toon World to actually summon them out, but it's overall still very slow, cannot attack on the turn that they're summoned. And then the gen after that, they got rid of the self-destruction when Toon World is destroyed, and then you still can attack on the turn you're summoned, and you can normal them out, which is fine. I believe you can also special summon them out, like Toon Dark Magician and Toon Red Eyes Black Dragon. And then finally we're into this generation where they just stripped out most of the restrictions altogether. So this is how Toon support works now, and let's move on to Chaos monsters. I'm sure you guys are pretty excited for that. Now, I love it when Konami gives us Chaos forms of older monsters, or just new forms in general, like Light Ray, the Darks. So now we get the Chaos. So we get the Chaos Creator, Chaos Daedalus, Chaos Valkyria, Chaos Space, which is the spell card that searches for Chaos monsters, and Eternal Chaos. Now, that's a lot of Chaos out there. So starting off with the Chaos Creator, it has the summoning condition like most other Chaos monsters that are level 5 or higher. It has to banish a light and a dark, and it special summons out from your hand by banishing such things. And the effect, like all the other creators, special summons cards, and this one special summons from the banish. And all you need is 3 different named banished monsters, and you target all 3 of them. One of them gets special summon, the other 2 gets bottom deck, letting you special summon and cycle monsters at the exact same time. Although the condition would require you to have a little bit more of a setup, but it's still very powerful to recycle stuff such as your white dragon, black dragon, anything that you've banished already that you want to recycle and reuse your resources. He's there to do it for you and to give you an additional body on top. If this card existed during the Thunder Dragon days, I'm 100% sure that we would have played it, because Thunder Dragon monsters, well, they banish themselves, and this is also a Thunder monster, so after you're done with all the effects, you can even turn it into a Colossus, and that would have been pretty amazing. And the effect is hard once per turn, so just keep that in mind. Next, we have a Chaos Daedalus. Now, this one also special summons by banishing a light in the dark, and this one's field spell reliant. Man, I just like tripped over the words there. So field spell, as long as you have a field spell face up, light and dark monsters cannot be targeted, which is quite good. I think if you are able to play lights and dark in your deck, whether you be playing, I don't know, 3-axis. I think you might see a new variant of 3-axis Dragon Link where it does play a bit of more of a Chaos engine in there. This would be it, and I think you can even splash this into, say, I guess Dragon Links. I think Dragon Links is probably one of the decks that benefits off of the Chaos support the most. And of course, aside from the protection, you get to banish cards. Banish cards, target and banish cards up to the number of face-up field spells on the field. So that's a pretty significant effect. It does target, so yeah, that's still a pretty good effect overall. And this was like, this also had a Light Ray variant as well. The creator did not have a Light Ray variant, so just kind of jumping back. Now looking into the next one, we have Chaos Valkyria. Like the level 4 Chaos monsters, I would say the White Dragon and Black Dragon are the Chaos monsters. They only need to banish one type or one attribute, so you banish a light or a dark. Now when this card is banished, you get to Foolish Bear a light or a dark monster. Now that monster's effect cannot be activated, so that's the limitation. So you can't send stuff like Farfight, you can't send stuff like Chanel Dragon to get a pop. It just fuels your graveyard for something else, and you can't use it for that turn. That monster's effect's name cannot be used for the turn. And then Chaos Space. I think this is probably one of the money cards out there because it provides you with the ability to search for a light or a dark monster that is Chaos related. So the cost is that you send a light or a dark monster to the graveyard, and you can add one of the opposite attribute. And the monster must be between the ranges of level 4 to 8. So between those, so you can even search a Dark Armed Dragon, which is pretty ridiculous. Now that monster also must have a condition where it cannot be normal summoned, which is perfect for the entire Chaos lineup, because all of them, well, can't be normal summoned or set. And on top of that, the searching wasn't enough. I know that it's technically you can say that's technically a -1 unless you find some way to synergize it to get yourself the plus back, because it does have a discard cost and you're trading 2 for 1. But it does have a banish from the graveyard effect where you can target one of your banished monster, bottom deck it, and then draw 1 card. So therefore it can actually replenish that -1 back into a 0. or it give you a +1 on a later turn. So that's why this card is really powerful. I think it's also like hard once per turn as well. So just be very careful when you use this card, and don't get ashed on it, because I'm pretty sure I would ash this card on the fly, because it is an initial +1 for the person using ash. Then there is Eternal Chaos. I'm not too big of a fan of this card. This is the trap card. Target one of your opponent's monsters. You can send lights and darks to the graveyard, so it has like 1 light, 1 dark, and where your attack combined is less than the targeted monster. So this one doesn't lock you out like Chaos Valkyria, where you can't activate the monster's effect. So if you have multiple monsters, I'm thinking just off the top of my head, Farfa, you can send Shuttle Dragon so that you can actually banish something temporarily and get rid of the problem, or you can Shuttle Dragon pop a back row. That's not that bad if you ask me. You can turn this into a back row removal or a front row temporary removal. And if there's other targets, leave it down in the comment section below what you would use with Eternal Chaos. Do you think it's even viable to play this, or do you think it's too slow? To me, it really depends on what's available out there. You need to do a little bit more research. Overall, these Chaos monsters, like, I'm really interested to see how this goes. A lot of people have been hyping it up. I know Shinping Shu has been looking forward to adding this into his dragons. So most of these monsters that receive like a form, they have a light form, dark form. So based off of that information, maybe we'll get a new boss monster in the future, Chaos Armed Dragon. What do you guys think about that? Where you can just use Chaos monster. Maybe instead of like destroying cards, maybe it banishes cards on the field. That sounds pretty insane. But one can dream, one can dream. But okay, and the other thing is Chaos Space Potential. You can search Chaos Emperor Dragon, you can search Black Luster Soldier, like Envoy at the beginning. You can search White and Black Dragon, Chaos Dragon Levianeer, Judgment Dragon, Dark Arm Dragon, Chaos Sorcerer, Spiral Sleeper, Plasma, and many more. And most of this research was done by Shinping Zhu, so I'm just giving him the credit out there. But this stuff is probably one of the most hyped stuff out there. Chaos Creator and Chaos Space are probably two of the most hyped up cards so far, and I can expect that their prices are going to be quite up there. Even in pre-sale prices, it's already up there, but the pre-sale prices are just ridiculous. A lot of the cards that aren't even that great, in my opinion, they're in the 20s range, and I'm like, this is going to drop after, so don't panic. Wait for things to settle before you guys try to pre-order some of this stuff, because right now it's just based off of entirely out of hype. And yes, I noticed that my background was getting brighter and brighter. The sun just came up out of nowhere, and I'm just gonna fix it as I go. So anyways, next we have the Warrior Strike imports. Now this was originally a structure deck. If you look in between the OCG and TCG structure deck releases, you know, right after the Shadal one, we did not get Warrior Strike. Instead, this one actually got packed in and we skipped it over, and now we got the Machina one. So what happened to this one? They're shoving it as an import, as an independent set. I don't know what you guys think about this. This definitely makes it a lot less budget when it comes to for players to play, especially if they want to play the Aven for Noble Knights. And knowing that it has a lot of OCG success, it doesn't exactly surprise me to make these cards a little bit harder to access while bumping up their rarity. So we get the Immortal Phoenix Gearfried Infernoble Knights Renaud, Sublimation Knight Infernoble Roland, and the Excavator Avesk. And we also get a bunch of spell cards along the way, and I believe there's also one trap that I forgot to put the image in. But yes, Infernoble Knight's definitely one of the scarier archetypes where you're able to set up some monster gates pretty early on and just execute massive combos playing based off of equips. And looking into their boss monsters, the Immortal Phoenix Gearfried, you can banish an equip on the field or in your graveyard to special summon it from your hand. And if you're able to put an equip onto the field, you just have to send an equip to the graveyard to negate a monster effect. And if this card attacks, it just takes some monster on the field and equips it onto itself. I believe this is also non-targeting, so just be very careful when this thing swings. It's a pretty big monster, so just be very careful when this guy's out. He's one of the boss monsters. He's probably one of the more hyped out monsters out there. So, and I believe he already has like a $50 price tag on it, even though it's just pre-sale right now. It's gonna be a bit iffy when it comes to thinking about the price point of these cards, just because, first of all, it's just pre-sale. Pre-sale's always inflated. There's a couple exceptions, but usually I would say they are mostly pretty inflated. And then there's also the next one, Infernoble Renaud. This is a card that you are going to play. This one's actually relevant to the meta coming up because it is your tuner. Even though naturally it is not a tuner, but it has a free special summon condition where if you control a Fire Warrior, you can special summon itself from your hand, and it becomes a tuner, which gives you access to a Clifford Brax options. And on the summon, you get to retrieve a Fire Warrior or an equip from the graveyard or banish. It's hard once per turn. Overall, it's an amazing card, free body overall. So natural +1 right there. Then there's Sublimation Knight. I don't know why people play this card just yet. I need to do a little bit more research, but on the summon, as a summon trigger, we can equip a Fire Warrior or a Gemini monster. That monster's effect basically becomes +500 attack to Sublimation Knight, which is decent, I guess. And on Destruction, you can special summon out the Gemini monster equipped to this card and give it its effect. It's pretty decent. And then there is Infernoble Knight Roland. This guy's just an equip. I'm not a big fan of this guy. He's got a funky fur coat. He's got a funky sword. I think he becomes the sword. And basically, it just becomes an equip +500 attack. And during the graveyard, during the end phase, if he's in the graveyard, you get to add a Fire Warrior or an equip soul from your deck. So it's an end phase search, much like Dark Soul. Then there's the Evocator Avesk, which is a Gemini summon, and on the summon of this card, a Fire Warrior or a Gemini monster can be special summoned from the graveyard, so it's kind of like a Wolf Bark. And for the spell cards, there's Crossover, which is like Relinquished. You get to equip a monster to target one of your opponent's cards, one of your own, and equip it. Gear Breed lets you swap your draw phase for adding equip spells, and I believe you get an additional draw if you're able to cycle out one of your equip spells. And then there is the Super Magic Sword of Raptinus. Raptinus is a monster that is usually the fusion that gives Geminis all their cards, or all their effects, and you get an extra normal summon, and you get a position-based effect based off of what that sword is doing. So anyways, that's kind of the rundown for Warrior Strike import. But what I really want to talk about for Warrior Strike is that, do you actually want it as an imported set? I feel like this is gonna make it very pricey. Like, for the trade-off of not having the best rarity, you make it harder access. Or do you have preferred that this have been like a structure deck in general, and then we get the support from the later set of Rise of the Duelist. Rise of the Duelist will be giving us more Infernobles, and with the new Infernobles, it is a very powerful deck. Definitely meta relevant, which is why we're talking about it right now. And that's why some of these cards have such hyped up prices. If decks become meta, and like especially structured decks become meta, and like Konami decides to take them and put them in sets, does that upset you? Let me know down in the comment section. Or do you just enjoy the bling? No one should be playing Yu-Gi-Oh at a cheap price. I don't know. Let's move on. Okay, now for the most exciting part of this whole thing. If you're not looking for Toons or Chaos or Infernoble Knights, and you just want to boost up whatever you already had, and for us hunting down reprints, we have a Pot of Extravagance. For anyone playing a deck that does not require the extra deck, this is such an essential card. It created the entry point for anti-meta for any of those decks to be super, super high if you want to play competitive. So this is a much desired reprint for a very long time, since Savage Strike. And man, this card finally getting a reprint. Although the price point right now on the pre-order is still pretty high, I have to say that maybe it'll settle down, but there's no real guarantee. It's like when Ash Blossom was first reprinted, the Ash Blossom reprint copy was still pretty high up there. And in fact, if you actually look at Ash Blossom even now, it's still up there, even for a reprint copy. So, you know, don't get your hopes too far up, but maybe if you get lucky, and maybe if they actually mass produce this card, since this one is one to keep people playing, I think it might be a good thing that they try to push a lot more product by including more copies of this. It'd be very nice, you know, one can hope. But if it isn't, you can expect that the price point of this card to stay up there and not too much impact on the secret rare as well. That's the worst case scenario. Next, we have Legacy of the Duelist imports, or rather reprints, and one additional import for Cyberse. So we got Microcoder, Signet Kodak, and Proglio. These were originally only available in the physical copy of Legacy of the Duelist Link Evolution, and now they also added another monster, which is Code Generator, which is the Earth-based Code Talker support. So we have the Water one, which was the Code Radiator, we have Microcoder, which is the Dark one, and now we have Code Generator, which is the Earth one. We're still missing the Wind one for Cyberse, but you can already perform the U-Lock already, and you also have a Talkback Lancer if you want to replace some of these monsters. So it's you still can do the thing that you want to do. As for Mask Heroes, we're getting reprints, but I think the key reprints would be Acid and Diane, since those ones were probably some of the more sought after ones, especially Acid being able to blow up most of the back row, and Diane is basically Diane. It lets you special summon more monsters, but those ones were more sought after, but people couldn't get access to it. But I'm not sure if people are even going to play it based off of what Heroes do these days. Heroes kind of more focus on using their combo to kill you with Malicious Bane, or perhaps a Team Samurai X1's build, just using the Elemental Hero Sunrise, combo it off with a Miracle Fusion, and just spam out a ton of monsters in OTK. Not sure if Acid or Dian are part of that equation anymore, but it'd be nice to have in the extra deck, I think. And then there's the Cypher Gear Gamma. This card has been reprinted once already, and this is the second reprint. I'm glad that it is getting another reprint because it is one of the most sought after cards out there for your side deck. If you have a side deck binder, you should probably have a Gamma. And Cypher Driver is also in this set, so you'll get a complete playable Cypher Gamma, and yeah, I don't know what more I can add to that card. Additional cards being reprinted. I don't know how I feel about this, but there's rare versions of Chaos Emperor Dragon and the Blackluster Soldier Envoy of the Beginning. I mean, we already got the common print, I guess, but still, it just feels really weird that these iconic cards are getting such low rarity reprints. I kind of liked it if they kept the whole Charizard mentality where the original Charizard is still worth a lot of money kind of deal. But like this one, these were iconic boss monsters that really shaped the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! So I held them in kind of more high regard. But if they're gonna reprint it, they're gonna reprint it. Not much I can do about it. I guess Dark Magician and Blue Eyes White Dragon DDS versions are the ones that are just going to maintain value. And on the other imports, we get some Fluffle imports. I believe there are going to be some Fluffle changes and some Frightfur changes in the future. I believe there is also the Edgem Scythe that's going to be coming out in the future, so that's going to provide it with a bit of extra support there. Magician of Hope, I think that is just a warrior version of, sorry, not warrior, spellcaster version of Utopia. And it's a pendulum as well. And finally, we have Bamboozling Gossip Shadow. This card has been on and off for some time now. I mean, back in the day when it was really annoying, it was from the Ramagaminade, the one that just locked you out. You couldn't play Yu-Gi-Oh! And that was like part of the Phantom Knights in combination. It was just pretty insane. Getting that reprint finally, I think that's actually a pretty nice thing. But if it ever does come back, it's probably going to get abused in some other deck that requires a bunch of Xyz material. And that's not something I'm looking forward to, but hey, at least we can get this card. This card was actually just maintaining its price point for some time for no apparent reason, and now I guess it gets to tank. And that's kind of all of the major reprints. I know there's a lot of other cards, but these are probably the ones that people are more or less putting their attention on. So these are the major reprints. Good luck pulling your Pot of Extravagance, but good luck pulling all your Chaos cards, because it seems like mainly it's going to be the new cards that are going to be the one that people hold in high regard and probably have higher value upon the release. But this is my major set breakdown for Toon Chaos. All you really need to know, all the reprints you should care about, and let me know what you guys think. If you guys enjoyed my video here, hit that thumbs up button. If you guys have something you want to add, leave it down in the comment section below. Hit subscribe, ding notification bell to stay up to date with MST.TV. I've been pushing a lot of videos these past few days, so I'm gonna leave it to Nishi for the next little bit. And until next time, I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good day.